All right, if I could have everyone's attention for a few minutes. So when we look at this lab and see what we've achieved, we've taken we've started out BlueJ, and you've gone through the same steps that I had gone through in the demo. You've seen that when you start at BlueJ, it comes up with a scaffolding that we don't want, so you erase the whole thing. And then you hunt for something to paste in its place. And so actually, this one here is as good as any chapter, as any outline that you can just use for pasting. And that's the basic hello thing. That's going to work fine for you for the first homework assignment. And then, of course, you need to start modifying things. Then this first one here, of course, when you compiled it, it worked fine. And then you saw this somewhat odd way that you need to launch a program in BlueJ that's idiosyncratic, where you right-click and you launch main, and then main comes up with this dialog that we don't really understand with the braces, and you just click through it, and then you get the message. So that part is pretty simple. And then if you take this program and you want to print just about anything else, it's not rocket science to edit this thing and change it so that it prints just about anything you want. We all know that these programs are not very useful. It's just there to practice the basic skill of operating the development environment. Now then we got into some of these syntax errors, and over here, one group asked me a very interesting question. They said, see here where we removed the quotes, so you need to enclose these strings here in quotes, and here we removed these quotes, and then the compiler said, what did it say?
Illegal start.
Illegal start.
Okay, so it said illegal start of expression. And then they said, why didn't it say missing open quote? That would have been a better message. And so I pondered that, and then I finally realized the reason it doesn't say that is it is perfectly legal to print other things than strings. For example, you can say system out print on, and then 40 plus 2. So you can use it as a calculator and put in numbers, arithmetic expressions in here. And so in this case here, it can't simply complain about a missing quote at this point here. So it's read the opening parenthesis, and now it sees this plus sign here. And it might have been a number, might have been plus 40. So at that point here, it's still a little confused. Then it sees the minus, and now it knows that things are terribly wrong. You can't have a plus and a minus in a number. And at this point, then it says illegal start of an expression. An expression is any combination of values and operators. So like 40 plus 2 is called an expression. I don't know why it's called an expression. I guess it's kind of like an expression, like an English expression would be hello there or something. I don't know. I don't know any English grammar. But in Java, 40 plus 2 is an expression. And it says you can't have an expression that starts with plus and then a minus. So that's what it's complaining about. But it was a good question. Why couldn't it give a better error message? And so the problem is, as a beginning student, you don't know all of the rules, and so sometimes the error messages just are confusing. That's why I picked this particular one when I wrote this lab some time ago. I wanted to find an error that just looks confusing, and looks like I managed to do that. All right, so then we have the face thing here. And here someone else asked also a very good question and said, I've done this thing and I've done it with 5 or 6 system out print-on statements. Yeah, that's kind of like the hello world here. Could I do it with a single print statement? Can you?
No.
So the cruel thing is, from what you know so far, the answer is no. Right? So now I'm going to tell you how you can actually do it. And so the trouble is, how can you? So there's this rune thing here that you need to understand. So you have this console. This looks like an old-fashioned sheet of typewriter paper, And so one prints, something on here, and then one goes on to the next line. That's what the learn thing means. And if you remember, did any of you ever see a typewriter? When I was young. Yeah. So with the typewriter, you had to actually move the thing to the beginning of the next line, and that's what the ln does. If you don't have the ln, if you just say system.out.print, it just stops, and the next stuff over here. And the next thing over would just continue to go up here. So if I nix the learns and just said system.out.print, then it would print the hello right on the same line, which is not the effect that we want. But it turns out that you can put in a special character inside the stream of characters that also has the same effect as using the print on, and that character is written a backslash followed by n. So if you were to say plus minus minus plus backslash n vertical bar HELLO, then the backslash n causes the thing to slide over to the next one. A thing with a backslash like that is called a control character. That's something that does not visually show up, but it controls the behavior of the output. And there's only a couple of them, and the backslash n is the only one that we're going to be covering in this course. So the other thing that's about remarkable here is the existence of the backslash itself. The backslash is also used for another purpose. Suppose I want to print I am quote unquote happy. That's what I want to print. Now if I were to put that into a system.out.println, and SOP is my abbreviation because I don't have time to write everything. The computer wouldn't understand it, but you'll understand it. System.out.println, and now if I put quotes around here, because you know that I always have to put quotes around it, that by itself isn't going to work. Why? Yeah, so now the compiler comes along and says, I am, and at this point it thinks that the string has come to an end. And then it's going to complain about invalid expression after literal string, so there, or whatever it's going to say, right? And so that means we have to tell the system that what we really mean is we actually mean the quote. And the way you do that is by putting a backslash in front of it. And that might happen for you if you wanted to print like hair or something using double quotes in a face. In that case, you have to put those backslashes in front of it to distinguish them from the other double quotes. Now, finally, what if you wanted to actually print a backslash? I don't know why anyone would have. Well, you might, like if you have a roof, right, in a house, like this. To print a backslash, you have to put 2 backslashes in a row. So every time that the compiler sees a backslash, it says, oh, something funny is going to happen. And then it's going to look at the next character. If it's a quote or a backslash, it's going to take that as the character. If it's an n, it's going to inject a new line.
What if you want like 2 backslashes right next to each other?
Then you have to print 4, like that. And really, it's like that. It's so the backslash is called an escape character because it gives you an escape hatch to the normal processing rules. And so actually, this is something that sometimes happens. Sometimes you have 2 layers of translation where, so I've had 8 backslashes in a row because one layer combined 2 in 1 and the other layer combined 2 into 1. That was not a happy thing. All right, so those are the kind of things that I overheard as I watched you do your lab, and that I think were generally interesting. So everyone did well. We went through this a little faster than I thought. So I will get busy and make sure that you have stuff to do on Thursday. I want to talk quickly about the homework. Now I'm probably luckier than most of you because I actually have the homework online. Oh. All right, so let me make sure you can actually read it. The homework in chapter 1, I think, is unproblematic. But here, the homework that I'm asking you to do a first draft on, let's say, so it says write an area tester program that constructs a rectangle object. You have no idea how to do any of these things. So, but you can get going as follows. You say, okay, fine, it's supposed to be called area tester. So I guess I need to make a new area tester class. How do you make a new class here? That's BlueJ. Here. I should probably make a new project. It's always a good idea to make a new project for everything. Come on. Here. So, well, fine, I'll call it area tester. And I'll make a new class, and I'll also call it area tester. Otherwise, you're going to start cluttering up your existing project with too many files. It's no fun. So now we have this useless outline. We get rid of it. So now we take any old existing program that works, change this thing to area tester. And if you're desperate, I suppose you could turn this in, right? Maybe you want to put a comment here and says, and so in a pinch for right now, that'll actually work. It's better than putting in nothing. And then you can see, where do you go from here? Now, is there something you can do? You're supposed to construct a rectangle. So maybe in that chapter, they show us how to construct a rectangle. Gosh, variables. Seems to go on and on and on. Method parameters. Maybe I should just search for rectangles. I realize that I have the advantage of having the electronic book. Okay, here, the rectangle class. So over here, come on. It actually makes a new rectangle. And now we could kind of paste this thing in. And now when we compile it, then it says semicolon expected, whatever. It's supposed to compile when you turn it. Now it says cannot find symbol class rectangle. And so when we look over this thing, we're really praying that there's a sample program somewhere. This book seems to be going on for a long time. Here we have a sample program. And then it has this magic line here that you have to do this import thing here. And now it compiles. At this point, this was already a heroic effort. You can definitely turn it in as a first draft. Okay, you have bitten off some part of this problem, and now you kind of start knowing what it is that you probably need to know to actually get to do this. So the whole idea is that when you work through these things, that you try to come up with a little bit of this stuff. And so sometimes it bothers students who say, I need to understand every piece, every little bit and piece of this program before I'm willing to start thinking about it. And that it doesn't work like that anymore. So you're going to have to be willing to copy and paste stuff that seems to look right. Let's try it out. And so in the first draft, just put in something like that this kind of thing goes into the right track. And now you can start asking questions. Say, what the heck am I really supposed to do? This is how far I've gotten, and it doesn't look like I'm on the right track. That's much better than saying, I have no idea how to start. So I want to get you past the I have no idea how to start. 4 little snippets of program by Thursday. Thank you very much.